I'm Jason McHugh from Cannibal the Musical, and you're watching Kurt Kelly from Live Video Inc. on The Actors Reporter.
Hi, I'm Kurt Kelly for Actors Reporter and Live Video Inc. and we are at the 34th Annual American Film Market, in case you were wondering where you were at. And did you know, and by the way, this is Jason McHugh.
Hello, nice to meet you.
And you're from BAIT.
Bay Area Independent Theatrics.
So it has nothing to do with fishing?
Well, that has a little to do with fishing because that company was co-founded by Les Claypool,
right,
who's the 5th greatest bass player in all time and also an amazing fisherman. He loves to fish.
Now, when you say he's the 5th greatest bass player of all time,
yes.
On whose scale?
Rolling Stone magazine.
Oh, those guys.
Yes, he's behind Paul McCartney, John Entwistle,
I've heard of those
Geddy
guys.
Lee.
Heard of him.
He's right behind those guys, and I think he's
probably ahead of Rick, the bass player.
Yes.
From Neil Young's band.
Yes. He's ahead of Rick. I think he's actually the world's greatest bass player, but
you're not biased at all.
I am not
just
biased.
Because you have a company with him.
I think his chops are better than, let's say, Paul McCartney. But Paul McCartney's probably written a few more popular songs.
Yeah.
So he's got him beat on the songwriting, maybe, but bass playing, technically, I think Les Claypool should be the number one bass player.
How many bands has he played with now?
Les or Paul McCartney? Les is played with...
Yeah.
Les has Primus, Oysterhead,
right.
the Frog Brigade, and then the movie I did with Les is called Electric Apricot Quest for Festeroo, and he actually plays the drummer in that.
And that's just the ones where he was a regular in the band, not including all the stand-in appearances that
That's true. He just did a stand-in with Tom Waits at the Bridge Benefit in San Francisco.
See, a little confession, I started in news and rock and roll in the 16th century. And so I worked with a lot of these bands over the years that you're talking about. In fact, look, there's Tom Petty. Just serious. So this is a comic book and a film.
Yeah, well, so this is Troma Films, and they are the distributor of Cannibal the Musical, which is the first film that I produced and acted in, which also happens to be the directorial debut for Trey Parker and a producing debut for Matt Stone.
For South Park.
Of South Park fame, exactly.
So,
and Troma is our distributor. So Troma and Lloyd Kaufman have basically sort of been like the company that sort of, is the first company to believe in us as filmmakers.
Really?
So Lloyd Kaufman, Michael Hers, and the whole company have been incredibly supportive of Cannibal the Musical for about 16 years now.
In the cold winter of 1874, 6 men set out on a journey through the Colorado Rockies. They were looking for gold, but what they found was that they were completely lost. About it now. Yeah.
I'm Alfred Packer. This is my horse, Leanne.
Tell me something, Frenchie. How does it feel to be riding my horse?
Oh, come off it, Packer. When in this town has ridden your horse.
Can't find yourself a pretty girl? Colorado has plenty of mountain sheep.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm having a great time.
How big are mountain sheep?
So let's build a snowman, we can make him our best friend. We can name him Shannon Wilson Bell. We can make him tall, or we can make him not so...
Golly, never thought I'd be sleeping next to a naked man on this trip.
Leanne!
Did you lose your horse, Packer?
Oh, no, wait, our food was on that horse.
close, Packer.
In the tradition of Friday the 13th, Part 2, and Oklahoma, comes the first intelligent film about cannibalism.
What the hell kind of language is this?
I don't know, just keep laughing.
I was on top of you.
All the guys I just got to know.
I'm shatterproof. There's nothing you can show me. I'm still standing tall, so you all can blow me. Know what I'm saying? It's true. After what I've been through. Woo! I'm shatterproof.
From trauma, of course. Now these are all different films. I'm thinking.
Yeah, so this is, so yeah,
I'm
you're
looking
seeing
at their whole
you're seeing like
catalog,
that's, yeah, so you're seeing some of Lloyd's classics, like he just redid Newcomb High, so which is a classic.
Right.
And then they pick up some other films in there, like you're seeing, but Lloyd
I'm seeing
directs.
some we're not going to show.
Right, Lloyd directs, Poultrygeist, another one that Lloyd directed.
Somebody
Toxic
was just
Avenger.
here earlier talking to us about that film.
Yeah. So Lloyd's coming back, and he will tell you all about Poultrygeist, but then he also just did, return to Newcomb High, which is, going to be his new opus.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to seeing that very much. They just came out with that, so.
So your new film is already out or coming out?
Well, my last film, Electric Apricot, we're actually in the process of re-releasing digitally, and that's going to be coming out on iTunes and Amazon Instant November 26th.
Isn't it amazing that now so many things are coming out through streaming and video on demand formats versus people going to a store and buying or renting the CD or DVD, whatever the case may be.
Times are changing. Times
Rapidly.
are changing. So
And wait 5 minutes, there's the new one you haven't heard about.
Yeah. But it all boils down to digital. It's all going digital.
Right.
So now we're shooting digital. We stopped shooting film, which is sad in some ways, but now the digital is starting to hold up where it looks great, and there's, some really cool projects. It makes filmmaking more accessible.
Well, and they're bumping a lot of stuff up, shot on red or other formats, into film for the theatrical, but
Definitely.
in reality it was shot on a different format completely a lot of times.
Yeah, well, Cannibal the Musical, we shot that on 16 millimeter, and then we transferred it to video, and then we had to bump it up from video to 35 millimeter. But it was originally shot on film, which I guess that's just a thing of the past now. That's back in the 90s we did that.
Wow, that sounds so odd to hear. Oh yeah, that was back in the 90s.
Back in the 90s.
Yeah, I remember the music from the 90s too.
Yeah, right.
So, the film market, is this the first time you've been at it?
It's the second time I've been at it. It's been a while. I was trying to get out of film there for a hot minute, but
Why?
something kept bringing me back. Well, because, everything's gone digital, which, makes it harder to make money in some aspects, but
Right.
I think give the film industry a couple more years, and some of these new digital outlets are going to take hold. I think you will be able to make proper money back on your films, or you're going to have to do what we did with Cannibal, which actually made money, but has actually proved to do well as a stage play.
Well, and if we can get the accountability from the accountants, and not the rubber stamps.
Yes.
And if we can get the and this has kind of been a pet peeve of mine and a lot of other people in the industry, if we could get the bootlegging stuff.
Yes.
Because quite candidly, if I walked into a store and started picking up stuff and walking out with it, odds are they would want to have me arrested.
That's right.
I don't understand how people around the world can think it's okay to take someone else's work, like entertainment, and bootleg it, and have no problem with that.
Yeah, no, it's...
So don't mind the next time we go pick up stuff in your store and walk out.
Yeah. That's, that is an issue that we're going to be dealing with, I think, for a long time.
Well, with today's technologies, they're actually starting to tighten down on it, because every time you click I agree, at this point, you've given them permission to know everything down to your pocket.
Yeah.
And then beyond. And so I think as that technology gets more and more rapid as it's becoming, it's going to be more difficult for people to keep pirating things the way they used to in the old days, where they had a shop and they had stuff going out the back door.
Yeah.
But it also is opening up at the same time a whole new opportunity for films like yours and others to be seen globally, where before they wouldn't have gotten that exposure.
What's interesting is that in some new business models, filmmakers are releasing their movie on BitTorrent to be pirated on purpose.
Oh yeah,
and
to make it
downloaded
viral.
To make it viral to get the word out. And
Right.
so I've heard of that working in a few instances, but then doing it for an email trade, and then using that kind of pirated group to be sort of like their core founders of getting the word out and getting the virality of your movie out. So there is some interesting models coming where, you know, piracy is sort of like seeding the market to get a groundswell going to get your movie to be popular.
Well, and also now that the SEC has deregulated that you can now fund films on the internet,
right?
That's going to open up the closet door.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of stuff is coming out of the closet that maybe didn't get an opportunity before, and that crowd viralness that you're talking about will actually fuel for the shorts of these films to become full-length features, because now they've developed a following, like a South Park started with a following.
Yeah, no, South Park's a great example, because South Park was really, I think, one of the first viral movies. Cause
Absolutely was.
It came out, it was great about, like, The Spirit of Christmas was a short, like a 5-minute short that preceded South Park, and
I remember seeing a copy. This was like in the mid-'80s, wasn't it?
No, it was mid-'90s. It was mid-'90s.
Okay, it seemed like the mid-'80s.
It was a long time ago. It was
in the 1800s.
Right, it was in 96, 97
Was
that
it
made
only
the
that?
rounds.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Seemed like it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a crazy story, but Brian Graydon, who was a Fox executive, who had Trey, Matt, and I had actually done a pilot for him that didn't get out of the gates, but then he commissioned Trey and Matt, who were doing these animations, to make this Christmas card that he was going to send out to his friends. And so he sent it out to 400 people on VHS tapes. One of those people was George Clooney, who loved it and decided he was going to make that his Christmas card. So he copied them, and then he sent them to his friends. So it had this sort of like core Hollywood group that the tape was sent out.
I remember getting one of the tapes.
Right, and then it just went out from there. And then you kept seeing like worse and worse quality tapes, and then it made it online. But even though it was such bad quality, because South Park looks kind of crappy to start with, it worked, and it was the humor came through, and it kept getting passed around, and then one thing leads to another, and there was a bidding war on who was going to get the rights to do the full show, and Comedy Central won. And then when the show came out, there was already like a pre-existing audience for it, so it premiered, and people were ready for it and excited, to see it coming out in a larger scale. So
well, and the buzz also, even if people hadn't seen it, they may have heard about it, because it did create, if memory serves me correctly, it did get a lot of press even about how it was coming out.
Yeah, no, it definitely did.
Well, I hope you get viral.
Right, thank you.
And you don't have to see a doctor for it. That sounds twisted, but today you want to be viral.
Yes, you do want to be viral, and you don't want to have to necessarily rely on Obamacare with your virus, at least not yet.
Okay, truly a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
That was a toxic interview. No, I'm kidding. I'm Kurt Kelly for Actors Reporting on Live Video Inc. And as American Film Market number 34 continues in 2013, we'll be back in a moment.